We have a lot to talk about. Drones, drones, and more drones. Or at least that's what the government's calling them. Well, in New Jersey, I could say fairly confidently that these are definitely some type of drone. But there's been a lot of these drones that look very different than the ones over New Jersey spotted all over the world. UK, United States, and I heard even Russia and Moscow. Why on earth, if these drones are from a foreign enemy, would they be in Moscow? I can understand the United States. I can understand the UK, an ally of the United States, but Moscow, an essentially enemy nation that's friendly with China, more so than us, and also apparently very friendly with North Korea. As we are well aware, there are North Korean troops currently fighting in the Ukraine war against the Ukrainians. Wow, this is getting out of hand. Oh, and December 3rd is here. I have yet to see the alien invasion, so I guess Webbot was wrong. Decided to bring that up for a second. But are these actually all drones? We're going to discuss that. But first, I need to let you guys know about our sponsor, Factor 75. I'm not going to sit here and explain what Factor is in detail, because I think you guys have already seen it. I mean, I'm sure you have. You've probably seen it on a million other channels. But Factor 75 is a food delivery service where you can essentially order full-on healthy meals straight to your doorstep. And if you use our code down below in the description and make an order on Factor's website using our link, it would help support the channel immensely, and we would greatly appreciate it. And thank you for not skipping the ad. With that being said, let's talk about the drones. So, a few months ago, me and my wife were driving along I-81, and we saw three mysterious lights and this was over Maryland, in essentially a field next to I-81. And I-81 where we are at does not use like drone surveillance to surveil cars to give speeding tickets. That's never a thing they've done. They don't have signs for it. It's just not something that is really seen very much in the state we live in. However, there were three drones in a triangle formation. At least I assume they're drones. Maybe there's something similar to this. This was a little while ago, but after the incursion over Langley, these drones, if they're drones, maybe they're not, maybe they're just UFOs, because they have flashing lights on them, and they were just sitting there in a triangle pattern, which made me assume that they were drones, but I could very well be entirely wrong about that. We filmed them. I cut the audio out because I was cussing like a sailor, because originally I thought these were just flying, maybe flying saucers or UFOs, whatever, the typical, holy crap, there's a UFO! Hey, babe, get the camera, start filming! Oh my god! Don't film it in upright position, film it in landscape. I forgot to tell her to do that, and she knows to do that, but when you're in the situation and you're seeing something crazy, sometimes you just don't think about it, okay? Like when I was on my way home tonight, I went to visit my mother, and I come back, and me and my wife in the middle of the road saw this, and this is totally off topic, but it's still freaky, so I just feel like I need to tell you guys, because this really was weird, and maybe one of you guys could have an idea of what it was. We saw this deer. We're on a 2-lane road, right? It's dark out, and this road's like a 40-mile-an-hour road that everybody likes to go way over 40 down, but luckily we weren't speeding, because it's standing in the middle of our lane, and it's just not moving. It's like contorted. It's got body all twisted up. It looks freaking weird, and it's not blinking, but it's breathing. You can see air obviously being breathed in and out of its mouth, and this thing doesn't move. I blare on the horn like 10 feet from it, like I stopped like right in front of it for a second. I just started blaring, and my headlights are on, everything. It doesn't move. It just sits there. So I go around it, and I'm assuming either it's got the zombie deer disease or rabies or something, but I've never seen this behavior where the deer is contorted, very clearly still alive, and doesn't care that a car is sitting there blaring on its horn. It just didn't move. It was like it was frozen in place by something. It was very strange. With that being said, back to the actual discussion of the video of the UFOs and our sighting over I-81. I have a video, obviously, as I mentioned, of these drones, or UFOs, or whatever you want to call them. They could have just been UAPs with flashing lights, because it seems, according to the government, that the UAPs really don't care if we see them. See, whenever I saw flashing lights on a UAP in prior videos on this channel, I always assumed it was either an airplane, because aviation lights, a drone or something like that, or maybe an alien reproduction vehicle or something of that sort, which is unlikely, but I would give it maybe like a small clements of, like, I probably used the, did I just use that word wrong? It doesn't matter. I would give it a little bit of thought that maybe it possibly could be like an ARV, an alien reproduction vehicle owned by the government, you know, whether it's the US or Russia or China, whoever. I would make the assumption that maybe it's a possibility. And looking back at it now with what we know, because this is way before the hearings, it could have just been an alien vehicle or time travel. Who the hell knows? Whatever is in these UFOs, it could have been. I'm going to go ahead and shut up for a second and play the video for you guys so you guys can see what we saw on the highway that night. And just to give you a little more specificity, it's out over an open field. There's nothing in the field. I didn't see anybody as we're driving by in the field. And the only thing that we saw, other than other cars on the highway, were these three things just sitting probably 1,000, 2,000 feet up in the air above the highway. Were they drones? Possibly. Were they the same thing that people are seeing? Maybe. I don't know who. I've never seen anything like this before, and I don't know who in their right mind would just be hovering three drones in a triangle formation over the highway. We went under them, and I couldn't tell what they were. They were just balls of light, basically, with blinking lights. Here's the video for you guys. Check it out. And now that you guys have had a chance to watch the video, you know what we saw. Very similar, I assume, to what everybody else has been seeing in recent days, or just in the past couple years. However, one thing I'd like to point out is that the drones that have been seen over these military bases that caused the evacuation of an entire United States Air Force base that has most of the United States aerial fleet in it, those drones are usually bright red. I've seen videos, they're lit up. Sometimes they're flashing white with a white strobe light. It's like they don't care if they are seen. And if this is China or Russia or whoever, and I don't think it's Russia because there's been reports from what I've heard that they've been seen over Russia, then it's entirely possible. I don't think they're our tech, first of all, because it was brought up that we couldn't bring them down. The ones over the Air Force Base, Langley. If I'm not misremembering, it was stated that we tried to bring them down and we couldn't, that our anti-drone tech did not work, and that we could not do anything. That's why we ditched the base, and I assume we wouldn't have just left if they were our technology. I'm sure the word would have been put out, like, but also, why would we be scouting ourselves? That doesn't make sense. If these things were from another government, it only makes sense that these things over this base or other bases, whether it be Langley or whether it be what was the one in the UK, damn, I can't remember the one that was in the UK. There's too many bases with names, man. RAF Lakenheath. Yeah, Lakenheath. It could have been, yeah, whether it's whatever base, you know, clearly these drones are there. They're not supposed to be. People have claimed to have seen fighter jets chasing after the ones in the UK over Lakenheath and in other places. And I've heard basically people saying that it's not a common sight there. And I know that Angry Astronaut, he actually filmed one, which is interesting because he was in the UK at the time. And there's a lot of people that have been, you know, catching these things, and the governments are saying they don't know what they are. They're just saying they're drones, but they don't know what they are. I'm starting to think that some of these might not, I mean, they might be drones, but they might not be drones. I don't know how many of you guys saw the pilot, what was his name? Bigelow or something. Some pilot that posted to Twitter, a drone orb UFO thing that landed at the airport said it was about the size of a car. Some people were saying, I looked at the pictures, it's hard to tell. I don't think it's the size of a car, but maybe it is. And this thing just shot up into the air, and he's got video of it floating in the air. And yeah, if you've seen those pictures, people have forensically analyzed them. They've looked at this, and so far people can't find an issue with it. It seems to be like these images are legit. He really saw this, and it kind of just looks like a weird face orb thing. I don't know, maybe this could be one of the sentient UFOs that were mentioned at the congressional hearings on November the 13th, or maybe it could be a weird new drone that we just don't know about. The thing is, there was no visible propellers or anything, and I've seen people mention before that are drone enthusiasts in comments that these balls maybe could have like a slit to let air come out, but this didn't look like that. It looked like a solid ball, other than maybe sort of a face on it almost. But I'm going to show an image of it right now, actually, if I didn't already do this, so that you guys can have an idea of what this thing looks like. But that's if you haven't already seen it. It was going all over X in the internet, so I'm sure you have. Essentially, my question is, if all of these drones are from a country, which country would be interested enough in examining both the US, UK, and Russia? And maybe other places we just don't know about. For all we know, they could be over China, and China's national news is just not broadcasting it because they're Chinese Communist Party controlled news. So it's very likely that we wouldn't know, because China doesn't like to look weak, and this would make them look weak. Or maybe it's possible that these things really are UFOs, or, you know, alien sort of technology that are observing us. Because I do remember hearing that the ones over Langley, essentially there was a mothership type drone that released all these smaller drones. And this is where it gets a little bit interesting, because a lot of these drones are said to be the size of cars, right? That's how big the ones over Langley were. That's how big currently most of the other ones have been described to be. The ones over New Jersey, currently, especially, the FBI is actually investigating the ones over New Jersey. And I'm going to show you an image of that, because some woman actually got a closer up filming of it, and it does kind of look like a plane that could maybe have propellers on it. Who knows? It's definitely got flashing aviation lights. And the FBI is investigating. The government of the city is saying it's not, you know, they're not a threat. They don't know who they belong to, though. So my question is, how do you know they're not a threat? We're in the United States of America, baby. Go out there. Look, let me show you a video real quick, all right, of what these drones are looking like, because they are all in the sky. You see this, guys? You see what I'm showing you right now? These drones are literally all the white orbs. Those are drones, apparently. And we could very well, because they're not that high up in the air, and maybe this is dangerous. I guess shooting into the air is illegal, but I was going to say maybe we could grab some firearms and start shooting at them, or maybe we could at least get, you know, professionals to start shooting at them and bring them down, because these are too big to be hobbyist drones. They very clearly are close to the size of a car. I mean, that's much bigger than the hobbyist drone would be. These are like military sized drones, if these are normal drones. And my other question is, if they're from an enemy nation, I got a few questions in this case. If they're from an enemy nation, my first one being, how on earth are they hovering there all night? What kind of batteries do these things have that they could keep a drone of that size just hovering all night stationary? There was a woman that was describing what she was seeing with these drones, that they would show up at night, hover all night, and then leave. And then come back the next night. How? I mean, maybe I'm dumb, and maybe you can tell me in the comments and say, oh, Richard, it's entirely possible that you can have a drone of this size with a battery pack strong enough to support it for an entire night. I don't know. I just know that the small consumer drones only fly for like 30 or so minutes, something like that, before they need recharge. I don't know anything about like military type drones. But then if they are military type drones, why on earth are we letting them invade controlled airspace? Why are they in the FAA's airspace? They should be taken out. Don't we send when I grew up most of my life, I assumed that if there's something from another nation that's flying in our airspace, we send a drone or fighter jet of our own to kick its ass. Take it out of the sky! Why on earth are we just letting these things stay up there and spy on our citizens? Which makes me think that maybe we can't take them out. And that makes me want to know, if this is an enemy nation, which enemy nation has made drone tech so advanced that they can just fly completely uninterrupted in any airspace they feel like. This is completely ridiculous. Either the government needs to do something and take them out of the sky like they did every other attempted incursion throughout the United States history, where airplanes of an enemy nation attempted to come in and do whatever in the United States, or they need to let us know why they're not doing it, because this feels just, it doesn't feel like we're showing strength here, and it feels very much like we are insecure. And if they're UFOs, a lot of these, they're genuinely like alien tech or something, some of them. I don't think the ones in New Jersey are, from looking at it. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but, you know, they could take any shape at this point. But I don't think they are, from seeing it. But, God, I just, maybe they're like an alien reproduction drone. I don't know. But I would love to know which nation at this point has the ability to do this to us, if this is another nation. I know this is a UFO channel, we talk about aliens here, but this is still, in a way, scary as well, and still kind of same sort of topic. I mean, they are unknown flying objects to a degree, and some of them very well could be alien craft. I'm not talking about the New Jersey drones, I'm talking about the other drones over whichever bases that we don't actually know what they are. They are very clearly different drones, with different lights and different behavior. It's very clearly not the same thing. So, with that being said, maybe some of you who see this video, maybe send a message if you live in New Jersey to your representative and ask why more hasn't been done to prevent these drones from hanging out and spying on American citizens. And as far as these other UAP sightings go, or drones as they're now being called, because apparently everything is drones, even if it's an unknown, it's a drone. Why on earth are we not doing more, and why aren't we telling the people what it is that's flying around in our airspace? Because if it's not another country and it's aliens, I think all of us would feel better knowing that our military bases are being incurred by aliens and not another nation who just leaps and bounds, jumps way, however many years ahead into the future past the United States of America. I think that both the US and the UK would love to know what it is that's been causing these problems. And it's only fed into the whole December 3rd idea. Clearly we're all still alive, but yeah, I don't know, guys. This is just crazy. I was going to talk about the lights over the Capitol, the ones that people are arguing as debunked, so that I could segue into talking about the first time UFOs were spotted over the Capitol in the early 50s, and Project Blue Book did a very bad job of debunking them. These UFOs, if I'm not misremembering, were seen on radar, and they were also wrote about in the newspaper. And Project Blue Book, they were also chased by fighter jets, or fighter planes at the time, and Project Blue Book's essentially explain them away as a weather anomaly from temperature inversions. It just didn't make any sense. They're very clearly a solid object there over the nation's capital, and I don't know, man. I wanted to talk about that. Maybe I will in another video, but this is a little more urgent, and it's similar. People were trying to say they were seeing UFOs over the Capitol. I'm not lending that any credence. Supposedly it was filmed by two different people, but people are saying it's the Capitol lights reflecting up above the Capitol. Totally could be reflection. I don't know. But I'm not going to sit here and analyze sketchy photography, basically. I prefer to analyze videos if I can get them. And in this case, we don't have them. And very limited accounts of these things. I would feel like if there were actually 4 lights above the Capitol, more people would have seen them. But that's not to say that maybe there isn't activity that's occurring or not being filmed or just being missed over the nation's capital right now with all of the craziness that's going on. But I digress, okay? That's irrelevant until we see some proof. December 3rd came. We're all still alive. I'll see you guys again in the next video. Hopefully tomorrow. I hope. If all goes well. Anyway, remember, like, share, comment, subscribe. It's very much appreciated. And yeah, that's it. Peace.